Ladies and gentlemen, I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Morning, ladies
Yes.
and gentlemen.
You're very
My
audible.
most esteemed regards to Professor Emeje, the chairman of the Korea and Logistics Management Institute. It is really a great privilege and delight for us to collaborate to profile the untapped opportunities that are being mitigated by the friction in the logistics, Korean logistics domain. The competitiveness of Nigerian exports have not reached their full potential, and there are low-hanging fruits that can be unlocked beyond the infrastructural constraints. So my paper I'll be presenting today will be looking at how we can unlock Nigeria's export potential and by extension, Africa's export potential. And we'll be looking at the critical role of smart logistics, the new paradigm, in a logistics management, and the level of impact it is having in global competitiveness of international trade. Um, so I like to take my conversations from a broad and strategic perspective. I like to take on discussions around the emerging trends, dynamics in the policy space, and technological advancement so that we are able to paint a picture of what is possible in the near future, what next steps can be taken. We are able to articulate a roadmap. So if we are to take a snapshot why this conversation is happening, the first thing is to know that trade is being redecided on delivery and not on the product. So we are in the international trade business space, cross-border trade. And the Nigerian Export Promotion Council is particularly focused today on SME participation. Madam would say an SME would have a annual turnover ranging from 20 million to about 500 million naira per annum. And these constitute about 80% of, the businesses in Nigeria and employ up to 90% of workers in Nigeria. So that domain is where sustainable economic growth and development will happen if we unlock the opportunities. So we have had interesting discussion about especially SME distribution channels like courier services and the emerging expectations around how these services should be conducted to meet the expectation of the buyers. So the focus now is moving from the products, but your ability to deliver on time, on spec, on quality, compliant, and at the right landing cost. Secondly, we are committed as a nation now to value addition. You can see the policy direction from the National Industrial Policy to the Lagos State Industrial Policy and to the African Continental Free Trade Area policy document. So this is the only way we can reindustrialize Africa and position it to increase its contribution to global trade beyond 4%, where it is now. The AFCFTA rulebook is cooked. The rules around how we want to reduce the tariff barriers among African nations and manage the flexibilities, the inconsistencies in terms of protecting local industries and mitigating abuse of the rule of origin this has been sorted out. The progressive reduction of those barriers has been going on for close to 8 years. So most of those tariff barriers are down. So what is still creating the friction? Why aren't goods moving across the continent? Why are we still at 15, 17% when Asia is trading 60% among their nations? So this is another unlock for intra-African trade and an opportunity. And then finally, value addition in itself requires a different kind of distribution channel. A distribution channel that guarantees that is transparent, is traceable, and can guarantee quality, protection of quality on delivery. So this new, we're talking about an infrastructure, a question of rebuilding the infrastructure, legacy infrastructure to accommodate value-added products from cold chain and also to telematics that track, the humidity, temperature, and other parameters of products for them to reach their destination in optimal condition. So having created a snapshot of the dynamics that are informing this conversation, I have a presentation here that will look at in more detail at the gap, the international opportunity, the gap, and then the policy opening, and then propose a roadmap for the way forward to bridge this gap. Now, a conversation like this has to start with the size of the addressable market. So we all know that, for goods to move around, there must be a logistic component, and it has been primarily treated as a back-end cost. But logistics and supply chain expenses contribute up to 10% of the final landing cost of products in developed economies and up to 30% in Africa. So the question is, why is there such a big spread? That spread is what is eating away at our margins and our profitability. If you look at my slide, you can see that 12.7 trillion is the global logistics market in 2026. That is about 4 times the GDP of Africa. That's the size of that industry. And that's because a percentage of the landing cost of a product is not less than 10%. So the global GDP is a function of goods and services produced in a year. And if we take the percentage of those goods and services, which is usually around 60%, then you know that 10% of that will give you somewhere around 12.7 trillion. So it's a massive market that has to be taken seriously. The global retail e-commerce sales in 2026 is up to 6.9 trillion. And then we see that the share of e-commerce transactions that now cross an international border is around a fifth of the total e-commerce sales. So this is a massive, we're talking about trillions of dollars. So this is a massive market that cannot be ignored. And this is where competitiveness, the war for competitiveness is lost or gained. Now, within the domain of, the size of the logistics market, there is a subdomain. The smart logistics subdomain is actually the fastest growing subdomain of this industry, growing at an annual compound annual growth rate of about 20%. So all the technology that are used for sensing, technology used for traceability, used for warehouse management systems, all of that, smart IoT, robotics, and drone tech, all of that, that is the largest growing segment of this industry. And it's projected to grow up to about $314 billion by 2036, just that segment. So it is very important that Africa has to get it right so that we don't find ourselves in the future being routed out of the international market, not because our products are not good, not because there isn't an addressable market that we can reach, but because our margins are completely eroded due to falling behind on adopting smart logistics. On this slide, I'm outlining the 6 domains where smart logistics apply. Smart logistics, as we all know, is basically about leveraging technology and data to improve supply chains, improve distribution channels to be safer, faster, and sustainable. So we have sensing technology like IoT, geographic GPS, RFID, telematics, and cold chain. On the connect side, the single windows project, Nigeria's single windows project has come online on the import side, and the export side should be online by next year. And this is a third of where the friction is when you talk about logistics constraints in Nigeria. Then another interesting area that we're looking at NEPC is the area of AI routing and dynamic pricing, whereby a lot of containers, a lot of ships that come in with goods are going back with empty containers because we don't just have enough logistics intelligence about aggregation and mapping consignments to containers efficiently, such that it bridges that gap or that delay in filling up these containers to ship out goods out of the port. Then
Okay,
there
we can
is
ship
also,
out the containers.
sorry.
I said you can. Okay, finish talking.
Okay. So then we also have automation technology, which is being empowered by AI, where we are able to optimize agricultural yield, warehouse management, and supply chain using robotics, drone technology, and warehouse management system software. Then there's also provenance for traceability on the supply chain, and finally, financial rails and payment system. All of these dimensions of the supply chain is where the 20% spread on the cost of logistics, this is where we are losing it. And these are the technologies that can address the components of that spread that is purely about information management and optimization of the supply chain. It has nothing to do with logistics. So this is the conversation. How are we going to bridge this gap as a country, as an industry, as policymaker, as industry operators, and as service providers along the chain? So as I said earlier on, our buyers are more interested in the final landing cost because the consumers on their own end are becoming more sophisticated. They want their goods on time. Even in the African market, people who buy things online are very particular about what is the lead time to delivery. They don't want to pay until the goods arrive, and the goods have to come in the right condition, and if you're not able to fulfill if there's money return back policy, customer service, it has to be optimal. Otherwise, you crash out of the market. So lead time, traceability, compliance, landing costs, and digital interoperability, whereby some of the work we're doing at UN CEFAT is to improve the interoperability of electronic data exchange technologies, so that when goods are crossing borders, when data is crossing borders, we're able to share data across customs, across single windows, across the value, the supply chain seamlessly through agnostic systems that are able to receive and exchange this data seamlessly. So this is one of the objectives of the AFCFTA trade protocol that was just adopted by the AU in 2024. Our minister has been very active around it to see that the various laws of the various countries have alignment and enable free flow of goods and services through digital trade and the payment rails across the African single market. So we have spoken to the global context, we have spoken to the gap on the continent, the spread between our logistics component in landing cost and that of the Western, which is 3x. And how also this gap is not just an infrastructure gap, it's an infrastructure gap, it's an information gap, a data flow management gap that can be addressed. If we look at the snapshot of the African market itself, Africa's total trade in 2025 is 1.4 trillion. Share of trade, which is intra-African, like I said earlier on, is at an abysmal 16% to 18%, while our counterparts on other continents are trading at 50 to 60% amongst themselves. So these are some of the parameters that can improve. We can boost intra-African trade by strengthening our, increasing this, our smart logistics deployment capability, and then unlock wealth on the continent. So I have already spoken to logistics as a share of GDP and how we have to manage that, the rate of that logistics bottleneck. I want to speak now about the port services and activities. I already said that there's a single windows project which is coming online. Single windows infrastructure, there are different models around the world, but essentially there are two things that our single window is expected to be able to do. One is to be able to onboard your data on the platform at a single source, at a single point, and then this data is available to all the regulatory and trade facilitation agencies. Then you're able to meet all your regulatory and compliance requirements through those online portals, digital electronic documents for the documentation, the procedures, and then you are able to secure all your approvals and certifications even before the goods get to the seaport, which is different from the case we have now where you have to take paper documents to the seaport, and just one off document can, in essence, delay your shipment at the port for up to 7 days. Nigeria, the dwell time at the port is up to around 20-something days, the average dwell time, while in even our sister ports around nearby in Togo, we can have a low dwell time of up to 7-10 days, or even in Kenya. So while we may attribute some of these problems to congestion at the port, documentation is a very big part of this constraint. And documentation constraint is not an infrastructure constraint. It's not about the road. It's about documentation and procedure. So we are excited that the single window project is gaining traction, and we will like stakeholders to converge around this technology to ensure that it provides the enablement and for all, operators to be able to enjoy the full scope, of the services that it is expected to bring to the table. So the single window will address the issues of documentation and procedure. Then at the port level, port technology, we have a lot of investment coming online, especially in Lagos, to improve our ports at Apapa and Tinkan. There is investment coming from the UK, around $600 million to optimize the port. There are new ports coming online. Dangote is going along with the local port. The Lekki Deep Sea port is gaining more traction. So this is an exciting time and an opportunity to upgrade the port infrastructure and to make them smarter. So I want to now narrow down to the SMEs. We've spoken a lot about the high level figures and the challenges around the ports and the dimensions to which smart logistics can apply to optimize the supply chain. But I think this aspect of SME participation is where the unlock for wealth creation is. There's a significant concentration of the big players in the commodity space, from cocoa to cashew to the spices, hibiscus, sesame. The big players are taking up this space because of this constraint. For SMEs to participate in export effectively, we have to open up the space for value addition. And value addition means prominently selling directly to consumers. Selling directly to consumers means e-commerce, order fulfillment, distribution channel, using courier services and all of that. It also means brand building. So as much as the SMEs would like to participate in international trade, they cannot compete with the large industrialists. They struggle with documentation and regulatory requirements because of their little scale. They struggle with inland haulage and access. They struggle with aggregation for exports. They struggle with terminal and storage services for their small scale. Inspection and compliance, ocean freighting and insurance, and the risk of rejection is higher for them. They are not able to absorb. They are not resilient. So the sophistication of international trade does not avail itself as an opportunity to SMEs for commodities, B2B business as much as it does for the large-scale industrialists. So I see the low-hanging fruit as an opportunity for SMEs, especially with the new digital trade protocol, especially with the investment that we are making on, boosting intra-African trade, more so that other continents are looking inward, a more populist approach. Our local markets are more accommodating in terms of standards, and we are able to circumvent this challenge of sea link across our ports, whereby a ship comes to Nigeria and before it can go to another African country, it has to go back to Europe and come back. So these are some of the challenges that the SME face, and we would like to see how we are able to address these challenges, reduce the barrier using technology, more so that the tariff barrier in Africa has gone down through sponsored by the AFCFTA, and the digital protocol is going to facilitate free movement of goods, data, and payment on the continent within the next 1 or 2 fiscal years. So I've identified the challenges, some of the challenges that the SMEs have to contend with along the documentation and procedural aspects of international trade. There are also challenges that they have to contend with have to do with trade finance, the skill set, the infrastructure, the fragmentation of the market, data poverty for business intelligence, the empty backhaul constraints in terms of aggregation for export, the lack of cold chain infrastructure for frozen foods, and the like. So in this third segment, I'll be speaking about the policy enablers, which I have touched on briefly along the presentation, so that we realize that the conversation about logistics, smart logistics, is ripe today. It's a conversation that has been going on for a very long time, but the policy space has opened up new enablers and new drivers for those who want to boost their competitiveness. The enabling environment is unfolding, and by next year, we should see a paradigm shift as the industrial policy takes place. The fiscal, institutional support, concessional finance is unlocked. We also see agro processing facilities, industrial parks, export processing zones being developed, and quality infrastructure being repositioned to be SME friendly. So these are all part of the national industrial policy. In Lagos State also, where 60% of our export leaves the country, and where up to that percentage of our exporters have their major warehouses, their bonded warehouses. We also have a Lagos industrial policy that was also rolled out around a few months ago. And in fact, as yesterday, I was at Seme Border Port, where we were having a very robust conversation with customs about an inclusive approach to accommodate SMEs under some of the mechanisms uh, rolling out from the AFCFTA for inclusive and sustainable resilient SME. So it's a good time to explore these opportunities. Artificial intelligence on its own is facilitating workflow automation for SMEs. A lot of SMEs now are able to leverage AI tools online to manage their books, support them with drafting legal agreements. We're able to do business intelligence, market research, and business intelligence support, leveraging AI at a fraction of the cost in the past. And they're able to design internal workflow automation for their small businesses. We are also seeing third-party logistics service providers able to enhance their services to SMEs in terms of groupage, in terms of optimizing routing and dynamic pricing using AI to cut down the logistics costs that comes from limited data, access to data, and business intelligence. So I'm very excited that by this time next year, there's going to be a paradigm shift. That component of the friction in the supply chain that is a function of limited limitations around traceability, transparency, and data. Those aspects will begin to diminish, and our seaports will begin to experience optimization with the single window. And we will also looking at convergence between what the Ministry of Agriculture is doing for EUDR, the traceability work we're doing on cocoa, rubber, oil palm, timber, soya beans going to Europe. By the end of this year, without full traceability, you cannot send any of these products to Europe. The EUDR policy is coming online by the 31st of December. A lot of aggressive work is going on at the state level, at the federated approach, and also at the business level at the edge to build national traceability systems, to geolocation technology for mapping of the farms, so that we strengthen our provenance, because Europe is our largest market of our exports. The bulk of our exports goes to Europe, and the bulk of our exports is cocoa. So all that traceability infrastructure, all these um, 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 smart logistics around single window documentation and procedure, and then the work that um, the Ministry of Communication is doing for the postcode, the new national postcode to optimize e-commerce in terms of delivery, fulfillment of delivery. This is coming up on the 1st of October 2026. Um, we are going to have this digital infrastructure, this postcode digital infrastructure to uh, facilitate last mile delivery for e-commerce in Nigeria. Ghana has already done theirs. Cote d'Ivoire has done that. And interestingly, these are also leaders in cocoa and also leaders in rubber, soya beans, and oil palm. So all this infrastructure that is coming from the various domains, from the telecoms domain, from the agricultural upstream domain, and then the market development domain for the single window, I believe there's going to be a convergence of all this technology in order to create the enabling environment for SMEs and other businesses to improve their competitiveness. So I have a little text here about the digital trade protocol. I wouldn't want to dwell on that. It's a component of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement that is geared towards reducing the barriers for e-commerce on the continent around data security, data sovereignty, legal bottlenecks, and payment rails, online payment rails. So this protocol has been concluded and adopted by the AU in 2024. Nigeria is giving leadership in its implementation. Nigeria was the first to sign the protocol. Our minister is very passionate about it. And like I said, the postcode infrastructure we're developing akin to what's in Ghana, what's in Kenya, what's in Rwanda, and what's in Ivory Coast. We are also joining the ranks to provide this digital infrastructure to enable smart logistics. So the industrial policy, I've spoken to it already. We want to increase, we want to reduce um, targeted reduction in trade costs from 30% to about 50%. We want to also see increase in export volume of up to 30%, enabled by the AFCFTA market. I want to see more SMEs coming online, about 25,000 SMEs, to boost and diversify our non-oil exports from the current list of about 281 products, which are going to roughly 120 countries. With B2C, our products can go to every country in the world, and we will be able to only compete if we are able to boost our infrastructure, digital infrastructure and physical infrastructure to enable to bring down logistics costs, which is actually the barrier to boosting and a resilient and sustainable export ecosystem. So this slide is projecting our performance last year. Last year, our exports, we hit $6.1 billion, which is an 11.5% increase over the year before. We've seen a trend of 11% increase over the past 3 years in our export volume and value. And we've seen the number of products going out increasing, about 281 products, 36 African countries and about 120 countries around the world. We are on an upward trajectory. The economic reform policy of the current administration, we are seeing stability in forex rates. We are also seeing that our inflation rate is also stabilizing, and the exchange rate too has also stabilized. So we are expecting that by next year, more small businesses will come back into the forex and begin to explore opportunities and prospects in the non-oil export space. So this is the right time to have this conversation about boosting competitiveness. So I have spoken about traceability and the EUDR project. And on this slide, I have some 6 high-value plays for Nigerian and Africa operators. So some of the areas where our value chain operators can explore as these opportunities, new opportunities are unfolding, especially areas around cold chain. We are seeing a lot of air shipment, growth in air shipment to Europe, but we are not yet able to unlock the shipment of fruits and vegetables that can go fresh. And this is a massive industry in Kenya and some other African countries. So we believe that that's an area that a lot of SMEs will be keen to participate in. So we need to see more investment in that cold chain technology space. We also want to see corridor consolidation. Third-party logistics service providers that are able to do aggregation for small-scale businesses, support them with their traceability, track and trace, and telematics to provide transparency for their buyers and consumers abroad so that they can get a premium for their products and be resilient as exporters. We want to see more investments, ecosystem development providers in response to the EUDR market barrier coming by the end of the month. So as we all know that when infrastructure comes up, a lot of innovation begins to take place. A lot of startups begin to sprout, providing technology support around drone tech, IoT, for yield optimization, GIS, and then also first mile and last mile logistics service optimization, routing, optimal routing, and the fragmentation of the market. So these are all opportunities that are going to unlock. Also, common facility centers for processing, agri-processing. There's going to be a lot of support for agri-processors who are ready to invest. Already, there are some policies banning some exports of some products that we have no business exporting raw. Save for the fact that some people already have long-term orders, forward contracts. Otherwise, these outright bans would have been completely agreeable, because to export producers in the world, but we only process 5%. We're only contributing 5% to the market, like shea butter. So I think we are already seeing a lot of exporters investing in shea butter, investing in processing for shea butter and for cashew nuts. And these cashew kernels also will require, some of this technology will also require some of these telematic value chain systems to provide guarantees of optimal condition when they reach their delivery. So, including roadmap document, we in the policy space are going to be looking at the development of the enabling environment so that more of this digital infrastructure and critical infrastructure that is required to replace the legacy infrastructure that supports commodities with the kind of infrastructure that optimizes that smart logistics that optimizes competitiveness, especially for SMEs. We have a roadmap here. I don't know if I have enough time to look at it, but definitely the national single window is going to be a game changer. It's going to ensure that all the clearances are done online and they are already communicated to the port, all the agencies at the port in advance before you get there, with verified trade documents and, other verifiable credentials, digitalized. So this, a major unlock, reducing the dwell time at the ports and demurrage expenses, and then apart from digitizing the export document set, we also want to see more reporting on corridor performance data, whereby we're able to benchmark against other countries, other African countries at first, and then global countries, so that we continue to work harder and harder on optimizing our services uh, uh, to the exporters and logistics service providers, to reduce the logistics costs associated with exports. Then we also going to have a lot of programs, capacity building for SMEs, onboarding them to digital trade channels, e-commerce, digital marketing, leveraging AI for workflow automation, also social media marketing, flywheel. These are some of the things that can be automated, either provided by a third-party service provider or developed in-house through cluster and cooperative network. So a lot of that is going to happen as part of this roadmap. And then the EUDR traceability will provide a pilot. I can assure you that within the next 2-3 years, traceability will be ubiquitous. Every exportable product will be traceable, whether the buyer is asking for it or not. Traceability is about protection of consumers. Traceability is about guaranteeing quality. It's about optimizing premiums on your exports, and it's also about brand building. So it is the future, and it's getting cheaper and cheaper. The technology to bring down the cost of deploying traceability is getting better, it's getting cheaper. So it's the future, and we need to start building on those things now. So we're also looking at intra-African interoperable standards, common standards on commodities, on products, also digital standards for our digital architecture for exchange of data. We're also looking at logistics skills, pipelines, and warehouse and equipment finance. So warehouse systems are optimized uh, to, to reduce logistic costs. So I think the only last thing I want to also speak to is, let me see. Yeah, so Nigeria, sincerely, the problem of Nigerian ports should be among the cheapest ports through which goods should come into Africa. There are lots of landlocked countries that are getting their imports from. This is where the logistics service becomes an export of Nigeria. So when we as a country are able to optimize, reduce the dwell time, the turnaround time, make our ports more attractive for imports. Port declarations have been released for Badagry, for Akwa Ibom, for Olokola Deep Sea Port, for Dangote, who is doing very well. I think in the past in 4 years, we have been able to 7x our petroleum substrate derivatives, PMS, granular urea, and polypropylene exports have boosted 7 times. And for the first time, Nigeria now is exporting more than we export, more than we import. So this is a trend that is going to continue to scale. So we need to optimize our corridor, port corridor, make it more attractive for more people to, do transshipment through Nigeria to the landlocked countries along the, Sahel states and beyond. This is another opportunity to to logistics service, smart logistics services as an export, as a service export from Nigeria to also sustain our leadership in the AFCFTA market. The AFCFTA market, Nigeria should be leading in industrial, Nigeria should be leading in pharmaceuticals, Nigeria should be leading in fashion, in cosmetics, Nigeria should be leading in banking, fintech, in e-commerce. We are supposed to be leading. We are centrally located, and these sectors are developed and are more advanced than our other African countries. So we need to be intentional about reducing the friction around logistics to boost our leadership and grow the wealth in this country. So in parting, I would say the key stakeholders in this conversation to leverage these enablers and to unlock new opportunities by boosting competitiveness. The world is not going to wait for us. The rest of the world is moving in that direction. We need to follow suit, pursue, and in fact, conquer. It's not for the government alone, and develop, starting with the low-hanging fruits of the digital infrastructure, and then the physical infrastructure policies around, compensation, tax compensation for industrialists that are able to, invest in first mile and last mile infrastructure for boosting logistics and limiting dwell time. These are all opportunities that we all have to work together to optimize. So I think with that, I will be bringing my presentation to a close. The slide is already made available, and a roadmap will not be built by one institution. This is just a contribution. As an industry, we will have to put our heads together and come up with a program, a roadmap for accelerating the evolution of our legacy logistic infrastructure to embrace smart logistics and all the digital infrastructure around provenance, traceability, transparency, documentation, verified trade, documentation and protocols, digital protocols, in order to accelerate our economic development in Nigeria. So this is the vision, and I call on all the participants on this to please contribute. And I look forward to the conversations we'll have at the program that will be organized by the Korean Logistics Management Institute that will, address some of these thematic areas, and we'll see how we'll be able to come up with a, strengthened communique or roadmap for the development of this sector. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening to my long presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I don't think that was long because it was actually quite interesting that while you were speaking, the listeners were engaged and they were dropping their questions. So I don't think it's actually a boring presentation. It's actually a fantastic one, and a round of applause for you. Thank you very much for your time. And it has been a wonderful 1 hour journey so far. Thank you. Once again, I really appreciate it. So because of the questions we have some questions from the chat box. So I'm going to take it one after the other. Please, I'm going to read mistake again. And if you know you have questions, please use the hand icon. So I'll call on you. You can do it in an orderly manner, and you unmute and you speak. Then, but if you can't, maybe where you are is very noisy, or you don't want to cause any form of distraction, you can just send in your question just the way it has been sent during the call. So I'm going to start from the first person who dropped his question, and I think I actually addressed the aspect of names. Okay, is iPhone 1. Please, if you are iPhone 1, I would just like you to please state your name, sir, so that I will address you properly. I call it people iPhone 1 just. So he said, are you with me, sir? Mr. Benedict?
Oh, yes, I'm here.
All right, so just to confirm.
I
Yeah, so
am.
you said thank you for the wonderful lecture at Prof. Itegbe. Just a quick one. You said you mentioned the AFCTA and buyers reluctant to pay until goods arrive in an optimal condition. How do we advert risks in terms of seamless and quality delivery of products in assurance of payment thereafter?
Okay, so when I said about the
I would like your video
AFCFTA,
to be on, sir. I
okay,
just
okay,
thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
So when I said that buyers are reluctant to pay until the fulfillment of delivery is done, I was speaking primarily about e-commerce in Africa. The African issue around trust, especially in Nigeria. A lot of online business are coming up, so it takes some time to build. But very interestingly, e-commerce has gained a lot of traction. People are very comfortable ordering online, but most of the time, people would prefer to buy and pay on delivery. Okay, so that's e-commerce specifically. However, if you are doing small shipments to other countries, maybe by air, not by ship, of course, even if by ship, usually you protect your payment by a letter of credit or bills on delivery. There are bills of exchange that you exchange between your bank and the buyer's bank to ensure that provided you comply with the terms of your sales contract and your goods get there on time, the banks can provide the comfort that your payment will be made. And that is why we insist that our exporters, especially for sea shipments that take sometimes up to a month or two, a letter of credit, irrevocable letter of credit, is the most popular form of payment terms. So that is how you protect your payment. Now, speaking to the terms of the contract, usually every commodity, I'm speaking particularly about commodity this time, about sea shipment. Commodities have their quality parameters, basic commodity parameters around the level of moisture, their acceptable level of impurities in the consignment, the knot count, the level of admixtures, the oil content, all these parameters. Usually, you would have sent a sample before the main shipment goes out. So there are risk mitigation strategies to ensure that you don't find yourself not meeting the terms of those contracts when the goods are shipped, especially if it's a long-term shipment. However, for short-term shipment, where you are shipping by air, the risk is usually lesser because it's a high value density shipment and it's a small volume. You can even ship it back if it goes wrong, unlike containers that usually you have to accept a discount from the buyer if you are not able to have a representative in the market. So these are some of the things that we provide a lot of training at NEPC um, uh, for newly registered exporters to teach you some of the strategies to mitigate this risk, especially for your first, second shipment. Usually, if you get it right, the first and second shipment, then you usually don't have problem, especially for that same product market pair. You wouldn't have problem addressing those risks. So value-added products have less risk. All right. Once the shelf life is protected and properly packaged, you have less concerns about those risks. What you now talk about are the certifications or the legal requirements to enter the market, technical issues around packaging, labeling, information on the labels, and then, declarations about um, um, uh, traceability, you know so there are different requirements for different products. But I want to just give you a comfort that today's technology has made these things much easier, made it far much easier to manage. So I will encourage you to attend our trainings to find out more about how you can leverage to address this problem. I hope that has been useful.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So just iPhoning one, I hope you actually you are satisfied with the response to your question. So if not, kindly indicate that on that so that we go ahead. Okay, so we have another question here. Oh, sorry, is there any hands? Okay, we have the hands up, but I'm going to take it accordingly because we have some people drop their question earlier on before time. So I'm going to take it accordingly. So apologies if you are raising your hand. Okay. We have from Pharmacist Olugbenga Falabi. He says, okay, issue of largely empty containers outward Nigeria is not about aggregation of goods to export, but of what to export. Okay, Benedict, I don't know what I have to say to that.
Sorry, could you come again with the question?
He said, issue of largely empty containers outward Nigeria is not about aggregation of goods to export, but of what to export. I think he's making his contribution. I don't know if you have anything to add
Oh
to that.
yes. There are two dimensions to the empty containers going out. One is to even have the quantum of goods to export. Yes, fair enough. But there is also the issue of friction, where you have a container that is going to take you 7 days. Some of the containers that are not going out, that go to some of the bonded warehouse where they have these containers and then they are doing aggregation, or people come to them to stop and then a bonded warehouse for export. So there is this time lag between when a container is emptied and then gets to those places and gets filled. All right. Now, these warehouses are around the country. Sometimes somebody from that state is bringing his good to Lagos, or it's looking for containers to bring his goods to Lagos. And because of this information asymmetry, there is no platform, there's no framework where that real-time information is available that, okay, can you reroute instead of going to Lagos, can you come to Osun State? I have goods that I'm stopping. I have an appointment with Neroli for clean shipment inspection. Please, can you bring these containers now? You don't need to go to Lagos. So this dynamic routing, this kind of dynamic routing, real-time intelligence about it also as a way of reducing the friction, reducing the delay, or optimizing the logistics supply chain. It's not going to solve the entire problem of the 80% empty containers going back, but it's going to reduce it. And by the time we have third-party logistics service providers that are able to encourage more SMEs, to do groupage, people that want to come together and do this groupage and they are not very comfortable, with the stress, and they're not
So can you hear me, sir?
leveraging technology to do it. By the time you have more people coming together to do that, you will find out that you will
Yeah, I think your network is off.
hello.
Yeah, we can hear you now, sir.
Okay. So like I was saying, there are many, yes, there are several issues, but what we are saying is there is a gap that can be bridged, so that we reduce the lead time from an empty container to getting filled to go out. That will automatically bring down logistic costs. And as more third-party logistics service providers come online with the infrastructure that is finding its way, the single window national traceability system, then you will see more people coming into groupage exports, and more of those containers will be filled before leaving the country. So that is my response to that.
All right, thank you very much, sir. And I think we have an iPhone one hands up. I think in respect to his question, so I will just give him the floor to hear from him. Please, please, if you are on meeting, kindly tell us your full name and where you're actually listening from or watching this webinar from. iPhone 1. Or are you there, sir? Okay. Okay. We have to move on to the next question. We have loads of questions here to take. So we have another question. So once you are back, just let me know from Mr. A. Opeyemi. He says, what specific customs or trade facilitation reform should we be leveraging right now to speed up our cross-border operations?
Okay, so the reforms that are currently on ground now, first and foremost, in terms of payment friction, in the far north, where millions of dollars of onions, and in the southwest, where millions of dollars of share nuts are leaving the country without being documented, the trade is not formalized. And when the trade is not formalized, you cannot get export incentives, which NEPC gives. You cannot get concessional loans from Nexim, BOI, and BOA. And then when you have issues, legal issues, you cannot enjoy protection from the government. Then when you are being charged tariffs for a product that should ordinarily qualify for the ELTS, that's a free shipment across the West African region, or AFCFTA. You are not able to get your certificate of origin because your trade is not formalized. So the friction around payments and getting dollars to do the transaction so that your NXP returns can be reflected, that friction has been reduced because of the Pan-African payments and settlement system that we have been able to get CBN and the Afrexim to. We've been able to create a new framework for safer trade within the NXP. Pan-African payment settlement system can now be done through safer, not just dollar and the international currencies. So this is to remove the cost of transaction from dollarization, unnecessary dollarization, and then to allow small businesses that are doing cross-border trade, which can amount to up to close to 5% of our exports from Nigeria, or more. I mean at the land borders, because a lot of things are going out by air, like precious stones and solid minerals that are not being documented. So that's one of the reforms. One of the things, again, we are setting up domestic export warehouses that exporters can go to receive support for aggregation, packaging, and labeling. We have a project with NASIMA and NACO where we are supporting air trade, air exports out of the country, so that those wherever the friction is for trade formalization, it is being reduced. The export, the window, the investment and export window that people were a bit, there was inhibition about repatriation through the window when we had different exchange regimes, the formal and the informal. That inhibition is practically eroded away, because now the black market and the IE window rates are converged. The spread is almost zero, insignificant. So these are some of the reforms. In the AFCFTA implementation policy, at least for the cross-border, there is now a one-stop shop collaboration, joint border documentation framework we are doing with Benin Republic, Nigerian Customs and Benin through the Krake border, such that once you clear on one side, you don't need to go through all those documentation and procedures on the other side. So the declaration on this side becomes the manifest on the other side. So it's not yet concluded, but it is a work in progress. It's almost perfected. Some other African countries have already perfected this, and this is also geared to reduce friction. There's digitization of export documents. NXP used to be a paper document. It's digitized, fully digitized. Some of the custom documents, single goods declaration, there are online platforms. that are going to reduce that friction for paper documentation. And then ultimately, the national single window is another reform that is going to bring, reduce the need for double checking, consistent checking, and some of this um, friction at the checkpoints and border posts. So I also spoke about the domestic export warehouse. These are all bonded warehouse, and the idea is that once you are cleared from the domestic export warehouse, your container goes straight to the sea and straight to the vessel. So it's not going to be reopened until it gets to the vessel. We had a lot of success around that, but now that the single window is coming online, it's going to be fully optimized. So these are some of many other reforms that are ongoing, and in order to boost cross-border trade on the continent, on the African continent.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. And we have 2 more questions before we have. Okay, before I go to another chat, we have another question from Mr. E. Okoyemi, who says, what are the biggest logistical bottlenecks that causes companies to lose their competitive edge internationally?
Okay, well, like we said, the bottlenecks are around mainly infrastructure. We've already said so, first mile, last mile, from the farm to get your goods from the farm, especially in the rainy season with the, bad roads and all those things. Electricity, when you want to add value and all those things. These are eroding your margins. Secondly, poor connectivity, internet connectivity that affect, some of these telematic systems that are able to track, from the farm gate, So, but we are, we are seeing new technologies that can work offline that are able to provide provenance from the farm gate to the last mile. Of course, the port infrastructure, I said already that the government is already working very hard on optimizing our port technology. New infrastructure are replacing legacy infrastructure to improve the efficiency, turnaround time of vessels, and dwell time at the port. These are actually the major sources of constraint. However, there are other sources of friction, that shouldn't be there because our legacy supply chains logistics are not smart, and some of them will require some deployments and some don't. So some are just about leveraging data, accessing data, leveraging data to take decisions and to provide provenance of your product. So when we now, looking at the digital protocol, e-commerce that is growing in the continent, this is a space that SMEs can operate on. Even if you are exporting to Europe as an SME, you can build your business model around e-commerce, where people in Europe can see your shea butter creams, they can see your cassava flour, yam flour, value-added products, locally value-added, and we're able to provide some guarantee on quality, compliance, and traceability. And they can track the shipment of their goods, and they can pay easily online. This is a major unlock. This is an area, a segment of the economy that is there's a lot of low-hanging fruit to unlock. So, like I said, AI technology is now making business intelligence readily accessible to small businesses. Is supporting in governance, is supporting in accounting, legal, sales contracts, and even building digital platforms. So these are areas where third-party logistics providers can assist in trimming some of the logistics costs to boost profitability.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. And we're going to take one question from, Ms. Rita Choma Abalu. You have your question, Ma. So before we take another question from comments, please. Look Benga. Please, if you have any question, just use the hand icon so that you can speak if you are not in a noisy environment. But if you are, you can just send in your first question on the chat box. Thank you very much. So, Ms. Rita, you have the floor, Ma.
All right. Thank you so much for the insightful and expository teaching, Architect Benedict. Thank you so much for that, sir. So you made mention of goods getting to their destination in good shape and on time. So I want to ask, how will the government mitigate the delay that happens during custom check and clearance? I read, I think on Punch newspaper early July, where there were containers waiting to be cleared by custom before selling and all of that. They were much, and as a result, that could lead to the goods getting to the destination late, and then there's a possibility that, especially if it is like foodstuffs, there's a tiny possibility that it may not really be that fresh. So are there policies made by government, okay, to say, oh, customs, this is the time frame you are to clear a particular container so that it will begin to say, and if no, what is the government doing in that regard to make sure that we're talking about logistics and to make sure that when it comes to export and all of that, it becomes a seamless process? Thank you. I don't know if you understand my question, sir.
Yes, I get your question. So there is there's a framework being championed by the Presidential Ease of Doing Business Enablement Council, which is they are the orchestrators of the Business Facilitation Act. Every service value chain service provider, we have an obligation to report on our performance benchmark against other international countries. We have what we call a report.gov button on our website. We are all required to have websites where we are able to give reportage provide detailed information about all our services, and we are ranked in our performance every year. If you want to escalate any service failure, you're able to escalate your report.gov, and this thing gets straight not just to the council, the coordinator, but even to the president's desk. The Business Facilitation Act is an omnibus act of all these agencies that is able to identify where there are structural bottlenecks, either in their governance, in their enabling act, or in their operational framework that needs to be amended by legislation. And every few years, legislation is raised. That Business Facilitation Act is activated, and those necessary amendments are made to strengthen those organizations. So these organizations, we are accountable for our service level, and we get quarterly reports on feedback on service failure, and we have to see how we are able to mitigate those service failure. Having said that, speaking specifically to the delays in custom clearance and documents and all those things, like I said, the national single window is going to address that, because before even the truck comes to the customs post, all this documentation would have been perfected online. If there's any documentation that is missing, it will be flagged online. You will be aware and you will be able to address that gap in your documentation, right? So there will be no room for fake documents, because a lot of people are victims of agents who get them fake documents they don't know, and then when they do get to the port, they are now struggling to get their documentation in order. And I can tell you for free that the current leadership of the customs service is very trade friendly. Very trade friendly. That's the briefing. That's the briefing from day one, that we must boost trade. The economy needs to boost trade. We need to export more than we import. Having said that, the incidents you are referring to about the massive backlog of containers that were trapped at the port here. I know that incident in Lagos, especially with Maersk. It is not very unconnected with what is happening at Hormuz, this Iran problem. Those shipping lines, were not able to fully explain why they were not able to get ocean liner to come and pick those. It was not a customs problem. The shipping lines were not able to, get vessels to come and pick those containers. And so these are things that happen from time to time. And that is why your business has to be smart. When you have smart logistics technology, you can actually anticipate and mitigate this risk. I'm not saying that it is justified, but sometimes these things happen. So your insurance must be intact. Your contract documents must anticipate some of these risks. And then your shipment, probably you should have more flexibility in your shipment, partial shipment. Don't try to ship too much at once, so that you have some flexibility in your contract in case of some of these major events going on. So it's very important that you do your risk management assessment to identify all the potential risks and manage them. So we received a lot of letters from exporters around that period and that issue. So that's why I can tell you confidently what really happened. It really wasn't a clear issue. But in closing, I will tell you that once the national single window is up, you submit your documents, all the necessary clearances you are supposed to get for that particular shipment, for that particular product market pair, you will be able to see it. You will be able to track where your document is going. Even your bank will be able to see how you are progressing on all those things, because we want banks to be able to give contracts without collateral simply based on the transparency and provenance, traceability, transparency, and tracking. And we are going to the government is going to be supporting that to be intentional about financing SME exports. Once that level of traceability and track and trace and infrastructure is in place. So I can almost assure you that once the single window is completed, all these things will be handled online. Customs will receive the signal from the national single window even before the shipment gets there. Verified credentials and documents, digitally verified, no paperwork. So it will be a seamless thing. And like I said earlier on, our domestic export warehouses, bonded warehouses, or third-party logistics service providers are also there. Once you are cleared there, you are good to go. So these are the risk mitigation measures that are in place. Everybody will continue to work harder to improve their services. It's not an overnight journey, but with the right infrastructure in place, critical infrastructure, you will see a natural shift, a paradigm shift in the service level of these trade facilitators and regulators. Thank you.
All right. Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're satisfied with the return value?
Yes, I am very much. Thank you so much.
You are welcome, ma'am. Also, okay, this question is directed to CLMI from pharmacist Olubenga Falabi, and also I've been indirectly directed to Architect Benedict. So he said, well, thank you so much. That as an institute, CLMI and those in quality space. So why don't we push privatization of the ports to drive expansion, infrastructure, development, and efficiency that may probably cut overall cost of vessels turn around in Nigeria? That's fellow Falabi being that. Okay, so the executive chairman is there. I don't know if after there's been any having to say regarding this, I'm also going to call on the executive chairman in respect to this question from Falabi. No.
Good afternoon, sir.
All right, so we're going to take that at the end of the session. And all right, so I will just recognize few individuals before we go ahead to give a round of applause and a speaker, our teacher this afternoon, who are taking us from right from 11:10. This is just for the period about almost 2 hours, and we've been on this call. Also, Gerard Trade Link, it says great presentation. It's a great value for my time joined from US. Gerard Trade, we really appreciate your time, and we hope you had a successful session with us, and it is an insightful one. I would also like you to reach out to us on WhatsApp. The WhatsApp number has been dropped down here for to start your conference participation, because this is the right time for you to start. Because the conference is just by the corner, we are just less than a month away from it. It's less than 2 months away from it. So this time for you to start and look at we have collaboration opportunity for every organization who want to partner with CLMI at this conference. And the conference information has been dropped on the call for you to reach out to us on WhatsApp. And let me see what else again do we have here. Okay, we have pharmacy. Okay, Prof. Chidoma, and okay, that's the Vice Chairman of the Program and Logistics Management Institute.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Michi. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. This is my first time. I'm not a member of this career and logistics management. It was a professor, one of the professors that sent the link to me. And I really appreciate that. The lecture was so wonderful. Let me commend Mr. Benedict for this wonderful presentation. It was wonderful. Seriously, something I don't even know much about Nigerian Sports Commission and begin to have interest now. So as I'm coming to you, I have to visit the organization right away so that I can register to participate, to be part of the members too. So please, I want to give him once again another applause for this wonderful presentation. And I want to use this opportunity to solicit. I want to be members of this organization. This is my first time. So I want to use this opportunity to join officially. So please send the link to me so that I'll be able to participate even in the next conference. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. And I will send you now to get your WhatsApp number so that we can continue the conversation on WhatsApp.
All right, no problem.
Thank you very much for that commendation from you. And this means because you've been from the right, you were one of the earliest comer of this session, and right from the beginning, so it means you've had a wonderful session. Please kindly just send us a WhatsApp number so that we can actually start your membership processing, so you can be inaugurated at this conference. And for other individuals who also like to become member of the Korean Logistics Management Institute, this conference is also an opportunity for you to be part of the institute, because we are going to be inaugurating new members, fellows, and organizations who want to be corporate members and corporate fellows into the institute. And I'm going to actually please reach out, drop my WhatsApp number again, and also get your WhatsApp number via the WhatsApp, the chat box of this Zoom meeting, so that we can continue our conversation from there. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Oluseyi, for that recommendation. And okay, I was actually going through the chat and reading the comments from every participant here. Okay, so I saw the hand of iPhone 1. So I was trying to get your name, sir. So I don't know if you are still on the call to just give us a brief intro, because I saw your hand drop, but I was taking other questions. Are you still on the call, sir? Okay, so all right, I was talking about we got the comment from Prof. Chidoma and Imedia, who said, good to have you with us from US. Okay, she was responding to Deraj. And logistics is one of the largest industry on earth. Smart logistics is the fastest moving layer in the industry. So that's a quote from architect Benedict Itegbe. And okay, so on that note, we want to appreciate our speaker. But before I actually give out the floor, I would like to invite the business development partner of the Korean Logistics Management Institute, the person of Mrs. Ndunduka, who she has actually been in terms of the business forefront, so to give us an insight in respect to what we are expecting at the conference. because this conference is not just about coming to listen to logistics practitioners speak alone, but it's also for business connectivity, because this is an opportunity where you can actually see individuals who can actually partner for your business. So, Mrs. Linduka, okay, sorry, ma, we have iPhone 1. Please, you have before. Apologies, ma. Please, you have before iPhone 1. Okay, iPhone 1, I saw your hand right now. Please, kindly, I want to just hear so that you can tell us your full name and we can connect after this call. Are you there, sir? Okay, I can see. Please, kindly, you are muted. Okay. Okay. Once we hear from the business development partner, please just get ready to unmute your mic. Thank you very much, sir. Apologies for the interruption, Mrs. Ndidunduka. You once again you are welcome, ma, and she's joining us from from Gambia. If I'm correct, you are welcome. You have the floor, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much, Architect. You did an amazing expose. I mean, I feel like anybody that was on this call needs to listen to the recording over and over. Thank you so much, sir. So to all our participants today, you're welcome, and we're so excited about our upcoming investiture coming up in November this year. And this webinar is like a prelude to this program. So we want to encourage you all to register early, because this will be a convergence of the policymakers, the participators in this industry. And from what we heard today from Architect, the Nigerian Export Promotion Council is ready to, take the export business in Nigeria to the next level through smart logistics. So, I mean, the way things are in the world today, it is beyond being an exporter. It's being an efficient and a smart exporter. And what we heard today is like a snippet of what we're going to experience in November. So we're all encouraged to register early, get your business booths so people can visit your business booth and know more about what you do. So we have group bookings where you can register for your team as a staff, with your staff and your team. We also have individual bookings where you would want to register specific people to attend on behalf of your organization. So the registration lines are open. We encourage us all to begin registrations early. So we have slots as well for speakers and for people that would want to say a word or two. And this is a forum where you would be meeting the kind of people you would need for smart logistics. I mean, I'm in Banjul right now, and it was amazing when I got into a supermarket here and I saw some of our Nigerian products. I was excited. But when I looked at the price, I was like, that means they went through a whole lot to bring it here. And that is not smart. Because if your products cannot get to the end user in best quality, it means something didn't go right. And that's why we're here. We're here to correct it. The market is ready for Africa and we're part of it. So I encourage us all to log in early by registering early, because we have limited slots, especially for the business booths. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ma.
Thank you, sir.
To share your
Over to
experience.
you, Mr. Emmanuel.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Ma. Yeah, well, thank you to share your experience all the way from Banjul. Once again, I really appreciate you and your comments on our speaker, Architect Benedict. So he has done a fantastic job, and we really appreciate him for what he has done. And please, once again, for those of you, I have already sent in a message again. Please just connect me on WhatsApp to get the call, or the recording to this session, and also start your membership process so that you can participate or you can be inaugurated at the upcoming CLMI International Conference. And also, she talked about getting an opportunity for your business to partner with CLMI, because this is a business showcase. The former president of the country, His Excellency Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, who will be chairing this occasion, will be there, and other dignitaries On that respectful note, I also called on the Vice Chairman of the Korean Logistics Management Institute to hear from her. So before we call the Executive Chairman, we can actually come to a close of today's session. So we have Prof. Chidoma and Imije. She's currently live. She has been here right from the start of this session. You are welcome now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manuel. Thank you. Architects, my God, someone said to me, architects are amazing because whatever they do, they are very, very meticulous. And I think they are just like pharmacists. They are fastidious, difficult to please because they want everything to be precise. And you've shown us indeed that though you are not in this aspect of the economy, but you've taken the foundation of what you studied as an architect to bear upon what you're doing. And it's amazing. I have a place to go to, some meetings also from around 1:30, but I said, no, I'm going to stay here to the end of this. Thank you very much, architects. Thank you for this. And when you are speaking, my mind opened up. I said, look, I always say catch them young. I believe there's something else we can still do for the curriculum of our children in primary and secondary school so that this thing of logistics and everything will be imbibed in them. And it's not when they now come to our age, they're looking for, they're trying to learn what they should have learned as a foundational thing. So I believe that this is another thing we can also take up. And if CLMI calls upon your association and your environment in your space, for us to look into that aspect, it's a thing that's going to be very, very good for the economy, because when you have knowledge and people are aware early enough, they don't come up when they are older and begin to try to understand smart logistics and so many things. So thank you very much for your job well done, and we are grateful to have had you here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And also from my architect, he said architect and like pharmacist. Okay, thank you very much, Architect Benedict again. And once again, I'm going to say in respect for individuals who are into business, we have business groups available for every organization at the upcoming conference. So we are actually recognition from the likes of our colleagues from Boa Gate. You are welcome. And the thing is, this program is we are webinar is a snippet of what we are expecting at the conference. So the conference, we are going to be seeing expansion the individuals, and NEPC will also be part of the participants at this program. So obviously you'll be meeting Architect Benedict live and direct. All right. So, once again, before I actually give the executive chairman the mic, I would also like to just reiterate this question from Olubenga Falabi, because I would like us to look at it before he gives his closing remarks and we end this session. Executive Chairman, distinguished Professor Simon Imije, you are welcome, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for joining us from the beginning to this very moment. So quickly, I don't know if should I take the question again so we look at it together with our speaker. You already have the question, sir.
What's the question?
Okay, so we have the question from pharmacist Olubenga directed to the institute, and he said, as an institute, CLMI, and those in policy space, he said, why don't we push privatization of the port to drive expansion, infrastructure development, and efficiency that may probably cut over all costs of vessels turnaround in Nigeria?
Can you repeat it? I couldn't get that question.
Okay, so he said again, he said, as an institute, CLMI, and those in the policy space, why don't we push privatization of the port to drive expansion, infrastructure development, and efficiency that may probably cut over all costs for vessels turnaround in Nigeria?
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, I want to lend my voice to thank our distinguished architect who presented this paper to us. Like Professor Ann said, I have a soft spot for architects, and you have not let that profession down at all. Listening to you, saying what you have said, you have not let that profession down at all, because we have known architects to be quite precise and detailed, and you have shown exactly the same thing in this presentation. And we appreciate so much what you have done today. And I want to say to all of us, it's a challenge to the rest of us here, that if you have so enjoyed this session, this presentation, all of us, it's a challenge to all of us. I want to give us. Be available in the conference. There is no reason you will miss this conference this year, because they said the taste of the pudding is in the eating. You have ate part of what we are going to eat in November. Whatever you have heard here, the conversation is going forward. We are taking it further into the conference. So this is the taste, is for you to give you a kind of appetizer. And you discover that when I was listening to Architect Benedict, it was like I was seeing myself already in the conference. It's like we're already in the conference listening to them to speak, and other speakers. So a number of speakers are going to come up, and join this same conversation, this same voice to carry on. And we have a big problem in the country, not just in the country here, but in Africa as a whole. And that is what we are trying to address. So first of all, I thank Architect Benedict. We are grateful for your presence and presentation. And you have the nail you have put on us in this industry will carry forward in that conversation. So it's an issue in Nigeria and in Africa that when you talk of trade. Hello. Can you mute your?
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, somebody is. It's a major issue, because this area we are talking about, like you heard him not from CLMI speaking right now, but an expert talking. Logistics is one of the largest industries in the world. And we're talking of not just, it's not a small industry, but unfortunately, like we're trying to talk about, the government of Nigeria, the government of other countries in Africa, even the other developed countries, they have not fully embraced the importance of logistics, courier, transport. So, and that is what we are sounding out to everybody to hear. And this forum you are seeing going forward into the conference this way, we are bringing policymakers and private practitioners, operators, exporters, importers, and all of the persons you can think of in this industry. We are trying to gather them together. Some questions have come up in the course of this presentation, talking of bottlenecks, supply chain problems, delays, national single window, and so on and so forth. People who we can classify, or who are policymakers will be there. So such questions as they come, we put across to them. It's like your voice against my voice. It will not be a matter of until you write and write and write. The policymakers who are already there will tell you what Architect Benedict has been trying to tell us. And if you have any other question that you think you can challenge anybody, you can do that right there, because we are talking of the thrust of the economy of Nigeria and Africa. If we can pay full attention to this industry, I tell you, I make boast to say this, and there's been a passion in us, passion in CLMI, passion in within the companies in the industry, that look, let's pay attention. And I've always said it to people that we are dwelling on crude oil revenue. Our development has been hinging on crude oil. But I tell you, this is an industry that surpasses crude oil. When I said this in some quarters, they said, "Do you mean it?" And I said, "Yes, I mean it." I beat my chest to tell you that the budget of every country, any country at all, the logistics, courier, and transport industry will beat them 2-3 times. And it's workable. That was why I said the taste of the pudding is in the eating. If we come out fully the way we are coming out, let us be present in that place and let's hear our voices. Let the government hear us. Let the press hear us. Let the operators cry out what problems are beseeching them. And we'll be able to solve and come out laughing. And it will be better for us to have laughter in our voices coming out of such conferences because it's a way out. People are crying for hunger and all the rest of them. So all the policies of government are there. But how do we get the benefit of all of this? And that is what it is. The issue of the port diversification that Pharmacist Benga was talking about, if I get that question right, is going on. Already there are private ports. There are dry ports and deep sea ports already. And I was talking with somebody the other time, one of the courier operators who has gone multinational already. He was telling me that he was establishing a dry port. I said, fine, these are the things we need. And if we put in place the infrastructure that we need, ease of doing business will heighten up, definitely heighten up. So what we are saying is what you are asking is already going on. The government is embarking on such development and diversification. The other time we were at the Lekki Deep Sea port, and they are telling us a number of developments. The Lekki Deep Sea port, for instance, is like a combination of private and government ownership. And it's like putting together our energies. And all of those efforts are meant to develop the ports and make the ports hitch-free. Government has not stopped anybody from coming up with such initiatives. You can go on. I just told you of an operator who is trying to establish a dry port. So Lagos, for instance, particularly is the hub of the ports you can think of. And like Architect Benedict said, we should develop to such an extent that it will not just be seamless, but it will be cheap for people to transact their businesses, export and import goods, So that is actually going on. So Architect Benedict, we once more thank you very much. Thank you very much. And like I said, it's a challenge. Let every participant in this platform today, let us see your name registered. A lot of people are coming up already. We don't want a situation where it will get to a point where you want to register and they said, we have closed the registration, we won't pass this limit. Because I want every one of us here to be there. You will enjoy the conversation just like you have started enjoying this. So we appreciate you, Architect Benedict, and the Export Promotion Council will be present, and you'll hear more as we gather together and hear other voices as well. Thank you very much. Thank everybody that is here. We are grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Prof. Prof, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right, thank you, Dr. Lucia. Thank you to every participant. Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful a short speech in respect to the conference. So once again, I'm bringing to you that conference is happening on the 26th of November, 2026 at the Oriental Hotel, and the time is 9 a.m. And the registration link has been sent again. So watch. This is an opportunity for those of us who participated in last year's conference to testify, because this is actually an advanced level of what happened last year. And right now, registration is on, so kindly send on your WhatsApp number, your contact, and so we can actually send you the link for those of you that want to go directly through the link. And if you want to also come in business partnership, the business booth is available where you can come and showcase your brand to individuals or dignitaries who are of high, who can actually partner with your product, because this is something that you actually be looking forward to. So this is an opportunity. So no matter the industry you belong to, even though you are not in the logistics industry, practically you are in the business, you can actually come and be part of this conference, because the conference is open to everyone. CLMI is open to everyone. So CLMI is not just for some sectors, individual, for everyone. So once again, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Architect Benedict. And this is our 2 hours of our time, and everybody, to also be sincere, everybody has actually learned a lot, and they actually anticipating towards the conference. And on that note, which I usually do, and we are
Before
going
you
to
go, please.
all right,
Before
sir.
Before you go, yes.
I just want to say that even if you are not in Nigeria, a number of people are coming from outside the country. If you are not able to physically come, if you are able to physically come to the conference, good. But if for any reason you are not able to physically come, you can register and they will send you a link that you can attend the conference, because everything will be transmitted live that day. So wherever you are on the face of this earth, you can witness it and be part of it. That is what I want to.
Thank you, sir. And also, what about the membership?
Yeah, the membership, CLMI is going to get across to you immediately. And please send your details to them, and they will pick up your particulars and get back to you immediately. I'm happy that you are saying what you are saying for the first time, and I'm happy that you like the program. This is one of the major things we do as a professional body, and you will enjoy it. As you join us, you are going to get more things, more information, more interaction, and we're available to serve you anytime. So they will get back to you. Mr. Emmanuel, make sure you get his particulars and treat as very urgent, so that he will be able to get set and register also for the conference and membership.
Also in my organization, I can project the organization, the CLMI too.
You can also register your organization can become a corporate member or corporate fellow of the institute, as well as you, an individual, being a professional member. And it will help also if we are doing training for your organization, for instance. That will affect a lot of things by giving you a discounted rate in training and many other benefits you can get when you join, both as you as an individual and your organization. You can move your organization also to the conference. I don't know what you do in your organization, but whatever you do, you can showcase in the conference, because real industry leaders are gathering and top government functionaries are gathering. We are privileged to have Olusegun Obasanjo this year. And you understand from there that CLMI is not a mean organization. It's a serious organization. And I remember when we were discussing with Obasanjo, after this saying some few things, he said, look, what you people are doing, there is no way any meaningful personality will not support it. We need your brain, we need your practice, we need your professionalism to help Nigeria, to help Africa, and to help the world. And we have actually what it takes. I'm not making boasts, but I'm humbly submitting to this, that we have what it takes. When you join us, you will hear what we'll say to make things move in this country and in Africa. And in the world.
So, and I will try as much as possible so that you can have a conversation with my Director General also, so that if there's any MOU, you can agree together.
Which organization is that?
Nigeria Institute of Transport Technology.
Oh, okay. Doc, now you? Okay, fine. It's good. It's good.
All right.
You're welcome, man. I'm happy you're here today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, sir.
You're
All
welcome.
right, thank you very much, Dr. Oluseyi. I'll contact you directly now on WhatsApp. You can clearly check your WhatsApp for that for confirmation. So once again, for organizations who are coming in, okay, as an organization to participate at the conference, we have a discounted slot for 5 participants, and that's who are not members of the institute. And if you are coming in 10 participants, we also have a discount test slot available for you, because this is actually a slot that you can actually look into. So if you are coming into 5 participants, you can select 5 individuals or 10 based on the capacity of the organization. So there's a discount 10% for you for every organization, please. So you can just send me your message. So and the thing is, I want to know about your organization so that we can actually give a package that is suitable for your organization. You can actually choose any package because we have different packages available for every individual. So thank you all for participating. And once again, if you actually joined in the section late and you need a recording to this webinar, please actually reach out to us on WhatsApp on this number, or you can also send your number so that you can actually reach out on WhatsApp too, so that we can send you the link to the recorded version. So once again, we really appreciate your time. So on that note, once again, thank you, Architect Benedict. So on that note, I'm going to call on, okay, let me call on Mr. Kelechi Itegbe. I want you to give us the closing prayer of this session so that we can actually move on to our daily activities as we continue our business. Mr. Kelechi Itegbe will confirm if you're on this call, sir. Okay. Okay, I can't hear you. So on that note, so I'm going to call someone else, and the person I'm calling actually just sent in a chat on the WhatsApp, on our conversational box. So the franchise learn French in the French way. Please, ma, I want you to give us the closing prayer of this session. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Okay. All right. The spirit is in control. You're welcome, sir. I was trying to call. You can hear you now, sir.
Okay, let us pray. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for the program, the training, the discussions. We thank you for all you have done. We are grateful, Ancient of Days. We pray that all we had, all the training, all the discussions, we will put it into action, and at the end, every glory will be unto you in the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Amen. Au nom de Jésus. Amen.
Thank you very
Amen.
much,
I
everyone.
like the language.
That French.
Amen. Au
I
nom de
want to,
Jésus.
Amen.
Amen.
let me announce to you that
let
let me announce to you,
Thank
madam,
you.
that in this conference there will be French speakers and we have French translators. So
wow.
both English and French will be going on simultaneously. So language should
Merci
not be your
beaucoup,
barrier.
professeur.
You are welcome.
Merci beaucoup. Merci.
Merci
Merci
beaucoup.
beaucoup, monsieur.
Pas de quoi.
Bonjour, madame.
Bonjour. Bonsoir.
Bonjour, monsieur. Bonjour.
Thank you very much.
You are
Thank you very
welcome.
much.
Thank you. All right.
Francis.
Bye.
Okay, thank you very much,
Okay.
ma, for joining. And I just sent you a WhatsApp message. A chat inbox now.
Moderator, I don't know your name, please.
You can just respond to
Mr.
that.
Emmanuel is
Yes,
the
sir.
name.
Yes,
Dr. Oluseyi wants to know your name.
I'd like to get your name and your full information, please.
Emmanuel, your own name. They're asking for
Your own name.
Sorry. I was responding to a client. Thank you. My name is Simon Emmanuel, and I'm the content executive for the Courier and Logistics Management Institute.
Great one.
Thank
You are
you very
good.
much.
I like the way you organize the moderator. You really try. Congrats, bro.
Thank you.
I love that. You are going higher.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Mrs. Differancel in French, I would like to get your WhatsApp number, please. I just sent you a message for that. Thank you as you respond.
I was not even following the blogger. I didn't know the square.
Pas
I
de
joined very
problème,
late.
monsieur.
On that program,
Bye, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Au
You're
revoir
welcome.
tout le monde. Au revoir mes amis. À la
Prof,
prochaine
prof,
fois. Au
prof,
revoir.
interpret this. Oh.
Merci.
Prof, you need to
Merci.
interpret it. Prof, interpret it, sir. Interpret it to us, sir.
We'll
Prof.
send the interpretation to you.
No, we interpret it at the conference. So we interpret
And
it at
they
the
go,
No, I
conference.
know.
okay,
I just want to pull prof leg.
you want to pull my leg.
Well done,
Nice
sir.
one. Thank you.
I
All
will
All
right,
right.
send
my
the
guys,
later
sir.
into
Thank
the
you so
air.
much. All right, no
You're
problem,
welcome.
sir.
Yeah,
All right, sir.
thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir. Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hello?
Ms. Rita, you're still on the call. Thank you for joining, ma.
It's not possible for me to leave.
Oh, sorry. You're muted, though. You're muted. I think.
Oh,
Please,
I
if you
said
are
I
still
can't.
on the call and you've not sent in your WhatsApp message or WhatsApp number, please kindly do that now so that we can actually follow up with you on WhatsApp and send you necessary information regarding the conference.
What is it's really in progress. Okay,
Dr.
you and him are so
Olugunagba, thank you very much for joining, sir. And I think you've been on call right from the beginning of the session. Mr. Shobayo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
for having
very
me.
much.
Thank
Yes,
you for
how are you
having
doing
me.
today?
Dr. Ologunagba. Yes.
Yeah, very
Oh,
welcome.
Ologunagba. Sorry,
Yes.
I wasn't interpreting it right. I hope I won't be arrested.
No, it's okay.
All right, ma. I hope you submitted your information in respect to the conference, ma.
36, 49, 49, 98.
Thank you for joining in, and thank you. iPhone 1, I was trying to talk to you. I don't know if you are still on this call. So I can just get your full name, sir. Mr. Shubayo.
Arel Global. Investment. Limited.
Otori Day family, good afternoon. How are you doing? Are you still on this call? So we